Assalamu alaikum and welcome to our class. Our topic for today is about the literature and combined arts. Okay, it is undeniable that the major of literature is language, right? And language is composed of words that are combined into sentences to express ideas, emotions, or desires. Writer, therefore, should be careful in their choice of words and expressions of their emotions and ideas in order to carefully organize sentences that would manifest a high sense of value. So, the objectives that a writer should bear in mind is to strive in raising the level of the reader's humanity and to accomplish the purpose of making one better person, giving him a high sense of value. Okay, so here are the important elements of literature, which includes emotional appeal, intellectual appeal, and humanistic value. When we say emotional appeal, it is attained when the reader is emotionally moved or touched by any literary work. For example, in the work of Elizabeth B. Browning, entitled How Do I Love Thee? This is an example of a poem that has an emotional appeal. When you um, when you dig deep on the meaning of this, then you can say that it really has an emotional appeal. Another one is the intellectual appeal. Okay, so intellectual appeal, one of the example there is the novels of Jose Rizal, the Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo. These are literature of intellectual appeal. Both add knowledge or information and remind the reader of what he has forgotten. So that is intellectual appeal. It has to do with the intellect. Okay, another one is the humanistic value. It can be attained when a literary work makes the reader an improved person with a better outlook in life, with a clear understanding of his or her inner self. That is humanistic value. Classification of literature includes the escape and interpretative literature. In escape literature, it is written for entertainment purposes that help us pass the time in an agreeable manner, and it takes us away from the real world and enables us to temporarily forget our troubles. Its main objective is only to give pleasure. Okay, this is a literary work about fictions and adventures. So this is escape literature for entertainment purposes only. Another one is the interpretative literature. It is written to broaden and sharpen our awareness in life. If it takes us through imagination deeper into the real world and enables us to understand our troubles. Just like the escape literature, its objective is to give pleasure but with understanding. This is a literature that tackles about the human experiences such as life, death, love, sorrow, and hatred. Okay, so there are three uses of literature, which includes moralizing literature, propaganda literature, and psychological continuum of individual therapeutic value. Moralizing literature, the purpose of literature is to present moral values for the reader to understand and appreciate. Okay, so the moral may be directly or indirectly stated. Another one is the propaganda literature. This kind of literature is not found not only in history and advertising and marketing books, but also in some books describing one's personal success and achievements in life. The third one is the psychological continuum of the individual therapeutic value. It seems very complicated or it's very complex, but it could be looked on as a sophisticated modern elaboration of the idea of catharsis. This catharsis means an emotional relief experienced by the reader, thereby helping him recover from a previous pent up emotion. So it has to do with the psychological effect of literature to the reader. Okay, so um, also literature involves poetry. Okay. When we say poetry, it is as universal as language and almost as ancient. Okay, so the most primitive peoples have used it, and the most civilized have cultivated it. And among the types of literature involves poetry writing, which is the most challenging because the choice of proper words or because of the choice of proper words or grammar, and also because of the denotative and symbolical meaning of the chosen grammar, and also because of the limitation imposed by the structure and rhythm of sounds, which makes a poem beautiful and appreciated by the reader. Okay, so it is very challenging to read a poem, to read and write a poem. Okay, because of this bulleted here. Okay, so the elements of poetry, there are many elements of poetry which involves the denotation and connotation. Denotation is the actual meaning of a word from the dictionary. Connotation is the related or allied meanings that are associated with its denotative meaning. Okay, so another one is the imagery. When we say imagery, it is defined as the representation of sense experience through language. Image are formed as we see, hear, taste, smell, and touch. Or we may say that an image is the mental duplication of a sense impression, right? When we imagine, it means it is a mental duplication of a sense impression. Then the most common imagery is visual, as we are made to see what the author is talking about. And when we are able to imagine what the author is trying to say, then it means that the author is successful in letting us imagine. Okay, so that is imagery. Another one is the figurative language. When we say figurative language, it involves simile, metaphor, um, or other important figurative language. So both are used as a means of comparing things that are essentially unlike. Simile uses words or phrases such as like, as, then, similar to, resemble, or seem. In a metaphor, the comparison is implied. That is, the figurative term is substituted for or identified with literal term. Another one is the rhythm and meter. Rhythm is a part of our lives and intake as there is a rhythm in the way we walk, right? The way we swim and other similar activities. While meter is the accents that are so arranged as to occur at apparently equal intervals of time. Metrical language is called verse, and at present, there are poets who are not so particular on rhyme and meter, and they call such a style as free verse. Okay, so another one is the element and idea. Okay, no, the meaning and idea. The meaning of the poem is the experience it expresses. We can distinguish between the total meaning of a poem and its prose meaning. Okay, when we say total meaning is it is the idea in poem which is only a part of the total experience it communicates. So the value and of the total experience, not by telling truth or the nobility of the idea itself. Okay, so another one is the prose meaning. It does not necessarily have to be an idea itself. It may be a story, a description, a statement of emotion, a presentation of woman character, or a combination of this. Okay, so particularly and universally tells human experiences or its verisimilitude, the creation of the appearance or likeness of what is true and actual in real life. Okay, fiction involves short story. In short story, It is a fictitious form of literature that is created and imagined and untrue, but has the appearance of reality because it is written in such a way that the events, people, and places are made identical to reality. Characters in short story are made alive with thoughts, dreams, and desires that are human. When one is able this identify this with his own, the experiences of the characters become plausible. Okay, in short stories, the reader interacts with what the characters feel and think, and inevitably is influenced and led to be a better and fuller knowledge of his or herself. There are four elements of short story: the plot, character, the setting, and the point of view. The plot has one, two, three, four, five, six um parts or six elements. We have the conflict, exposition, complication, climax, crisis, or and denouement or resolution. Conflict is the opposition between forces or characters that is intensified and then resolved. The exposition naman, the introductory or the background information. The complication is the rising action, the development and intensification of conflict. The climax is the point toward which the plot and the conflict rise. Then the crisis, the moment of the conflict's greatest intensity. And then the denouement or resolution, it literally means untying, occurs after the crisis. Okay, we have here the traditional plot. Um, okay, wait. Okay, the traditional plot. Okay, this follows with variations about a basic design, variations, and may be visualized as a line in which gradually rises, right? Gradually rises talaga siya from here to there, then bumaba. Okay, reaches at a high point and then moves downward. Okay, here, pansin nyo, it started with exposition, right? So here, it started with the exposition and then nagkaroon ng complication. Then we have reached the climax. Okay, the climax. Yan na yung the conflict has risen. And then, nagkaroon ng resolution or denouement, bumaba siya, and then the story, tapos. So that is the traditional plot, which also happens in a lot of stories. Right? So, bakit nandito yung conflict? Why nandito yung conflict? Maybe because mahanap natin yung conflict kahit saan. Kahit saang part. Pwedeng na-introduce sa exposition, na-introduce sa complication, dito na siya pumutok, and dito na siya nabigyan ng resolution. Okay. The next one is the literary devices used in plots. We have the flashback, the frame, the flash forward, foreshadowing, and the figures of speech. These are all used in the elements of a plot. Okay, in this literary devices will be tackled more kasi it requires a lot of time. Now, next, we have the character. The types of a character, meron tayong lima. We have the dynamic character, static character or static, flat character, the round character, and the stock character. The dynamic character involves the attitudes and the values are affected by The attitudes and values are affected by the events in the story, static character, the personality, attitudes and beliefs,